All right, we're working on constraints here and talking about constraints. So what we want to do is develop this sketch here that is fully constrained with only 1, 2, 3, 4 dimensions on it. Everything else will be completed through the constraints panel. So I'm going to start a new part. I'm going to start a new sketch. And I'm going to go to the XY plane. Okay? First area that we have to talk about is up here in our constraint settings. So these are all of our constraints up here, including a dimension. But we're going to click on the constraint setting, which is that first row, and it's the bottom one. And we're going to go to inference. And when you first come in, they're going to be all selected. So we're going to hit clear all and hit OK. So what this means is when you first come in, your constraints are usually kind of put on there automatically for you, but we didn't want any constraints put on there. So we're going to start out with a small square in the center. So I'm going to draw a line, one here, and hit enter to get rid of that line, but I'm still in the line command. I'm going to draw a line here, draw a line here, draw a line here. So what we have to do is we have to tell each one of these lines where to be, what to stick to, and what angle to be at. So the first thing I'm going to do is come here and go coincident constraints. Now I have to be careful not to click lines at this point. I want this endpoint and this endpoint to be coincident with each other. So it makes them big, but they're stuck together. Same thing all the way around here. Okay, so now we got this stuck together. Now if we know what about a square, we know opposite sides are parallel to each other. So I'm going to use this next one down, which is parallel constraint. Click the opposite sides, and we have a parallelogram. Next thing we know about a constraint, or a square here, is all sides are 90 degrees. So now that they're parallel, I'm going to make them one angle perpendicular. So we're going to go perpendicular constraint. And we're going to stick these two together to be perpendicular. So if that's 90, this has to be 90 all the way around because we have parallel sides. Okay? The other thing we know about squares is all the sides are equal. So the equal constraint is out of your constraints area here. It's this lower right hand one. Equal. So I'm going to make this side equal to this side, and then this side, and then that's going to lock it actually. I don't have to make a second equal because these are parallel, so we're already locked into place. If I try to do it, it's going to say you're going to over-constrain, and we don't want to do that. Okay? So right now, we have that we can move this all over the place. If I hit the escape key, I can still move this. I can make it bigger. I can move points. I can rotate this thing around. So we need to lock it in place and we need to rotate it. So I'm going to go here to horizontal. Click on horizontal. Now it's locked horizontal. Now comes a little bit of a tricky thing. I just opened the origin up. I want to lock this so it's centered on the origin. So I'm going to go coincident with the midpoint to the y-axis. I'm looking here. I know the up and down one is a y-axis. So it locks it there. Then I'm going to go midpoint of this one, and this is the x-axis. Now it's locked in the center. I add my one dimension, 1.5, and it's fully constrained, that sketch, with one dimension. And here we go.